Startups are major drivers of economic development throughout the African continent. But challenges such as lack of funding and support hinders their chances of scaling up and contributing to the economy. Nevertheless, the startups like Kubik in East Africa have defied the odds and will be representing the continent in Copenhagen at this year's Global Startup Awards. Kubik uses technology that recycles plastic waste into a variety of low-carbon and low-cost building materials and was a winner at last year's Continental Startup Awards. Its co-founder and CEO, Kidus Asfaw, joins us now via our video link live from Nairobi, Kenya. Kidus, a very good evening. Thanks so much for speaking to us. Can you tell us about the background and history of your company?
So Kubik turns hard-to-recycle plastic waste into low-carbon and low-cost building materials. My co-founder Penda and I started this after working with UNICEF, where we created its first circular economy project in the Ivory Coast.
Now talk to us, you're talking about creating bricks from plastic. Is this something that can be scaled? How does it actually happen?
So unfortunately, while Africa is a fast urbanizing continent, I mean, we have almost 80 cities that have over 1 million people in it. There's a lot of burden that it's facing. First off, there's a mounting amount of plastic waste that cities are burdened with. But there's a silent crisis happening around affordable housing. For every 10 houses that are needed, only 3 are being fulfilled on the continent right now. So what we're really trying to tackle here is both the burden around plastic waste, but also trying to drive affordability within the housing sector. And this is an area that we feel very confident and comfortable can not only be a continental solution, but a global one.
Now talk to us about how your company has differentiated itself from its competitors on the African continent.
So what we saw was there's an established recycling market in most countries, but there's also a very mature real estate market. What has been missing is a product that is able to create demand for waste that cannot be recycled right now and fulfill a big gap around materials that are needed by real estate developers. So as Kubik, instead of trying to be a recycler, trying to be a real estate developer, we decided to become a product manufacturer that can cater to these two markets. This has made us scale very quick in our launch market, Ethiopia. And we have ambitions to be scaling into new markets on the continent as well.
Well, I'm interested in knowing what your go-to-market strategy has been, and obviously those plans to expand globally, or certainly on the African continent.
So what we noticed is real estate developers take on a lot of burden when building affordable housing projects. They have to plan years in ahead around how much it's going to cost them to fulfill these projects before ever putting in a bid. Now, what ends up happening, as we saw in 2022, is prices of these materials drastically change. Cement prices in places like Ethiopia doubled and even tripled at times. This completely wipes out the ability for real estate developers to be able to focus on affordable housing. So what we've done is brought stability and affordability to real estate developers so that they can focus on catering to the base of the pyramid in these markets. So our go-to-market strategy is work with them. Focus on how we can continue to drive down the prices of building materials, continue to see them as partners so that when they grow, we can grow with them.
Now finally, Kidus, winning is not new to you, but you are faced with the Global Startup Awards happening in Copenhagen next month. How do you rate your chances, and what is the significance of being one of those companies that has been shortlisted?
It's been an honor to represent a continent that has accelerated its footprint within the startup ecosystem. Africa has seen tremendous amount of capital inflow into its startups over the past few years. But one of the things that's been neglected is sectors like ours, sectors such as real estate and waste management, areas that really need to be tackled in order for this continent to flourish over time. So being selected is not only an honor as a company, but also for the sector. Now, what happens in Copenhagen is not the end-all or be-all for what we see to be value. But one of the things that has made me very humbled is what we see on social media. Everyone around the continent and beyond being able to vote for us, not because they see Kubik to be only the best startup in the world, but because they believe in the mission to be building dignity for this continent through clean and affordable living for all.
Kidus Asfaw, I appreciate your time and certainly wish you all the best of luck at those awards. We were just speaking to co-founder and CEO Kidus Asfaw, who joined us via video link from Nairobi.